The following program has been pre-recorded and is paid programming.
It's time to talk taxes.
New friends, new opportunities, new partners. EG Tax.
It's Ask the Tax Lady with Esther Gulius and EG Tax on News Radio 930 WBEN. To reach Esther now, call 803-0930. Toll free at 1-800-616-9236. And cell calls are free at star 930. And now, live from the WBEN studios, it's Esther Gulius.
Hi, this is Esther Gulius, the tax lady from EG Tax, and we're talking taxes, and we're going to make sure that we're going to teach you a thing or two, we think. The great thing is we don't always open up the phone lines for questions. Sometimes we just go through your emails and texts, and when we do that, we just have a better opportunity to kind of talk about some of the options. There's no such thing as just a yes or no answer in taxes many times. Sometimes there's a right answer, a better answer, and a best answer. And I'm joined in studio with Chris Fabian. Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Hello, Esther. Doing
Hello,
good.
Christopher.
Doing good. Hanging in there.
Okay, so we got emails and texts this week. Next week we'll be back taking your live phone calls. But during the week, if you got a question, just call us. There's no charge. We're happy to help.
Definitely, for sure.
Right? And you can go to our website, edgtax.com.
Yes.
Okay, what do we got?
EG Tax. I heard your recent show about cryptocurrency. At one time, my account was up to $46,000, but today it's down to $16,000. I paid $18,000 when I first bought crypto. If I sell it, is there anything special I need to do? Tim.
Okay, so they are, even though it's currency, the federal government is treating cryptocurrency as if it's an asset.
Right, like stock.
Like stock. So if you sell it, and by the way, if anybody sells it, so if any of you trade it, if you're using it to pay bills, if you're doing an exchange, if you're selling it, it all goes on a Schedule D. Important you keep track of your basis, right? Really important you keep track of your basis. But in his situation, because it's a capital asset sold at a loss, he would be able to take his loss up to $3,000 to offset other income, and other income dollar for dollar if he had more than a $3,000 loss. But his loss is $2,000. So, yes, you can do that.
Right. So it goes on a Schedule D in 8949. And you claim what you sold it for and what you purchased it for to net you the $2,000 loss if you were to sell
and
it.
I will tell you, the IRS is really like a dog in the hunt over this cryptocurrency stuff. And so if you're an owner of cryptocurrency, you want to make sure that you're keeping track of your basis. Because when you sell it, if you do sell it or you want to use it, remember to buy a car. If you wanted to use your cryptocurrency to buy a car and the car is $40,000, you have a $40,000 taxable event that has to go on the Schedule D. And if you paid $5,000 for it, you have a $35,000 capital gain. And then you buy the car.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So it's... If you need help with cryptocurrency, let us know. We're very happy to help you.
Right. And it's very confusing, so please give us a call. Okay, so then Pam writes in, I am about to get married in October. Me and my fiance were going to get pre-approved for our mortgage, and we were told that he has a tax lien. How can we get this fixed?
Okay, well, we do that, and you want to look at it. First of all, not all liens are created equal. In other words, sometimes there was a letter, maybe somebody did a tax return and forgot to add maybe the sale of stock, and the IRS sent a letter and you ignored the letter, and they sent a letter and you ignored the letter, and you sent a letter and you ignored the letter. Then they send you a bill and you ignored the bill, and this goes on until they come up with a lien. You, at that point in time, until the liability is paid, you still have the opportunity to go back and say, oh, my bad, that thing that I sold, I sold it for $100,000, but I paid $110,000 for it, so I have a $10,000 loss. And once you would do that, the lien would go away. That's one thing, right?
Right. Yep.
So just because you got a lien doesn't mean you really owe it, but it does show that your fiance is maybe not so good at details. If the lien is bona fide, if you really do owe the money and you have the ability to pay, then get it paid up.
Right. You know,
and maybe try to get some of the penalties waived too, if you can.
Right. And also, you know, because if they file joint and they have a refund coming, the refund's going to be taken to go towards his tax offset. So she could always file the injured spouse for the federal, the non-obligated spouse for the state. So then her refund still goes to her, and only his share of the refund would get taken to the debt. But
that's true. But here's the thing: some people carry around this debt that they could get rid of, like a dead body. They're just dragging it along. If you can get rid of the debt, get rid of the debt. Right? If you can't get rid of the debt because you don't have the money, then they also have another option, don't they?
Right. There's the offer in compromise.
Right.
You know, and that's something Tiffany would love to talk to you about, where you can actually save pennies on the dollar.
Right.
I mean, you say, this is what we have, this is what we can afford, and they don't own a home yet. So right now,
and maybe they don't want to get married for a while. I mean, while she's working on the offer, right?
Right.
I know I'll give you an example. My sister had cancer, and they ran up astronomical medical bills, and his insurance wasn't enough to carry it to pay it off, pay off the liability. And so they just, for years, had all these gigantic medical bills. And then when it came tax time, they ended up not being able to pay their liability. I mean, it was a mess. But the truth is it kept them down economically, because every time he'd go look for a job, people would do a search on him and find out he has bad credit and Anyway, but they were perfect candidates for the offer and compromise. So in their situation, everything, they did a bankruptcy on the medical debt, which they could have never paid, ever. And they weren't trying to shaft anybody. They truly had no money. They had rental houses and everything. And then they did the offer and compromise and got rid of that tax debt. Then after everything was all cleared up, he got a good job. They ended up getting a house. It was wonderful. It was a big turnaround. And that's really why the IRS does those offers and compromise, because as long as you're down, you can't get up.
Right.
This is a way up.
And I know there's a lot of people out there, because we talk about people might want to file bankruptcy a lot too. And, we always get the texts in and, well, that's not right. How can you have people charge stuff up just to get it forgiven later on? Well, it's not meant.
Sometimes, it's just like with my sister. I mean, they were just so poor. I mean, it was so terrible. And there was nothing they could do, because he wouldn't do a bankruptcy, because he had pride. And there was no way they could pay $300,000 in medical bills. And so it was just terrible.
Yep.
But once I finally got him convinced, I said, if you feel this way, Jerry, you can always pay the debt later. And I think that's what he did because he was an electrician. Once he got back on his feet and they got a house and a car and everything, then I think he started paying the debt back. But until he did that, he just had terrible credit. Nobody was even going to give him a job, a car, anything. It was terrible. There are times when people are just down on their luck, and thank God it's in the code.
Right. Yep. And we are having a seminar coming up soon with the financial guys. It's already Set Retire. It's going to be hosted by them at their location this year. If you want to register, give them a call at 633-1515. That's 633-1515, and register yourself for that great seminar. People love it. You get to talk to lawyers, financial people, and us for free.
Right, and the cost is astronomical too, isn't it? Isn't it free?
It is free. It is free.
All right. All right, so what else we got, Chris?
Oh, we should take our break for commercials.
All right, we're going to take a break right now. I'm Esther Gilius, the tax lady from EG Tax. We'll see you on the other side. Hi, I'm Esther Gilius, the tax lady from EG Tax with Christopher Fabian. If you need us during the week, you can go to our website at egtax.com. You can give us a call at 632-7886. Today, we're doing emails and texts. We're not taking live phone calls. We will next week. But I love doing these kind of questions. Don't you, Chris? I mean, to talk about in detail
yes.
some of the things, you know?
Yep. Oh, for sure. It's great.
I mean, I will tell you, the offer and compromise, people should not feel ashamed. I mean, the worst thing is to sit there and watch them garnish your wages, and there's no hope, and you really do feel hopeless. But the truth is, the offer and compromise on the federal and New York State really gives you a whole leg up. Just changes everything.
Right. Never feel you're alone. It's like people who have to file 8 years, 10 years worth of returns, and they feel overwhelmed and embarrassed. Don't come in. Let us get it started. And,
there's that old song, "You'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone." With EG Tax, we will help you.
That's right. We're family. We'll help you.
Okay, what do we got, Chris?
Okay. We have, my dad just passed away last November.
He just passed away.
He just passed away.
He must have been Italian.
Yes.
He just passed away.
His lawyer called me into his office and told me that I'm about to get $5 million.
Wow.
Yeah. In different forms: cash, stocks, bonds, and IRAs. I didn't know my dad had this kind of money.
Wow.
I know this is a blessing, but I want to be prepared come tax time. How much should I keep aside come April? Luke.
Well, everything is taxed differently in his little portfolio, so he's got a little bit of everything there. So some of it's going to be taxed as ordinary income, and some of it, if he sells stock, is going to be long-term capital gain, and some of it is not going to be taxed at all, depending upon what it is. So he needs to segregate what he's got. Did he put in there how much of whatever he's got?
No, it just says different forms. So, I mean, this is one where Lou would have to call us, make an appointment. We could sit down, go over everything.
Yeah, so if he's inheriting a house and he sells the house and he gets a stepped-up basis, provided he wasn't on the title, and that would be a tax-free event. If he's got stock that he's inheriting, he gets a stepped-up basis on the fair market value of the date of Dad's death. And if he sells it right away, pretty much the gain is going to be forgiven because it's a stepped-up basis. On his IRAs and pensions and annuities, that's a horse of a different color. That's the only part that would be possibly taxable, right?
Yeah, that would be taxable, all taxable. You would have...
Unless they're Roths.
Unless they're Roths, right. But either way, Roths are traditional. For IRAs, you have 10 years to take that money out. So there's different strategies you have to look at for there, depending on the balance due. Do you want to take it all now? Or not balance due, the balance, how much it's worth. Do you want to take it all in 1 year, or do you want to spread it out over the 10 years?
Right.
So...
And they don't require that you take it all out equally, do they?
No.
So, I mean, this year... he could sell the house, he could sell the stock. Maybe there's cash of $1 million that he doesn't have to pay taxes on, and he rolls over the IRAs with the 10-year. It has to be withdrawn within 10 years because it's a beneficiary IRA, and he doesn't take anything. And this year he may have no liability.
Right.
So. It's a blessing, and you want to make sure that you give us a call so we can plan with you to make sure that money, that if you don't have just Roths, so we can make sure that you are properly covered when you take the money out of your IRAs.
Right, and for the stocks, I would say make sure your broker, whether you use Dad's brokerage firm, your brokerage firm, it might be the same one, but make sure they update his basis. That basis of that stock coming in, because you don't want to pay tax on money you don't have to.
Right.
And and it may be simpler too if you already have a financial account, you open up a second account with the dad's money, because if you need money sooner than later, you know which one it is, and you could take it out because there may not be that much of a gain because of the stepped-up basis.
Right.
So there is a lot of planning that he's, unfortunately, Lou's got to do. But he's doing the right step. He's calling us.
Yeah.
Or texting, I should say.
And that's the same situation with anybody listening. Let's say you have a large estate and you haven't let anybody know. I hope to God you have a will first. You want to make sure you have a will.
Right.
Because if you don't have a will, that stuff all would have had to go through probate, and the state of New York would have decided who gets it. So hopefully you have a will. And many times what you want to do is a revocable trust that then, because once it's in the trust, it avoids probate. So those are things that you want to make sure you do.
Right. Yep.
And if he had an irrevocable trust, if that stock was in an irrevocable trust that our guy just was talking about, because he said he got it, but he didn't say what context they were in. If it was in an irrevocable trust, then he wouldn't get a stepped-up basis,
Yes.
right?
Correct.
So it gets very muddy, and we're very happy to help.
Definitely.
Okay, what else we got?
Patrick writes in, Tax Lady, my son needs a hand to buy a house. If I give him $300,000, how much will it cost him or me? He will be making payments to me for the next 5 years. I'm taking this money from an IRA. Oh my gosh.
It got worse as the question went on, didn't it?
It did for sure.
It just got worse as the question went on. Okay, so first of all, if you gave him the money, that would be a gift,
Right.
right? And it's true, it's over $17,000, and so you'd have to do a gift tax return. But really, it's not a gift. This is a loan,
This is a loan.
right?
Yep.
So you have to make sure, since it's over $10,000, that you're charging him fair interest rate based upon the federal government. So you have to charge him interest on that loan, number one. Number two, because you're taking it out of an IRA, you are basically going to end up paying all the taxes on that money that you're giving to your son. And I would advise against it. If you have a way to get money out of your personal home, if you have it, for instance, that would be a tax-free event. But to take the money out of the IRA means you're going to pay like $50,000 in taxes to give him $300,000 that he's going to give you some small amount of interest on.
Yeah. Yeah. And you got to charge regular interest rates. It's got to, the IRS can come in and say, nope, you didn't charge enough. So we're going to say you did charge, and this is how much more income you have to pay tax on.
Right. I mean, because with everything, assuming this guy's over the age of 59 and a half, he's not going to have a penalty. But if he was under the age of 59 and a half, he'd have to pay a $30,000 penalty plus taxes on the federal, plus taxes on New York State. It would be horrible. I don't care how much of a hand up you want to help your son. You're just shooting yourself in the foot. So what I'd like to do is sit down with you and strategize and say, is there any place else we can get this money from?
For sure, yes.
I mean, he might have a bank account. Sometimes people don't realize they got it in the bank, and they go, I really don't want to touch the bank account. Okay, so you want to pay $80,000 in taxes so you don't take it out of your bank account? So, or maybe a better solution, maybe the kid's got bad credit, and that's why he needs the down payment. Maybe dad ought to be a co-signer with him.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But I'm going to tell you, it's not a good thing taking it out of your IRA,
and
let your kid borrow it.
And if we have different partnerships we deal with, we have businesses we refer people to, and one is cross-state funding, where, like you said, if he does have bad credit, maybe have your son call Jesse at Cross-State, and Jesse will give him like a 7-step, 10-step plan to improve his credit, where he might not be able to get a house right this very second, but in 6 months from now, he'll be able to get a house because his credit's all cleared up.
Yep.
So,
but please, if you're anybody that's thinking of taking money out of their pension plan, you have to think long and hard on it, because you're going to pay the taxes, and especially if you're loaning it to somebody, it's not a good idea.
right.
Okay.
Right.
What do we got here now, Chris?
Let's see.
A quick one.
A quick one.
We got the
Okay.
news.
Yes. We have I want to. That's not good. I am 75 and need to do an RMD this year. My distribution will nearly be $30,000. I heard I could roll it over to charity. How does that work?
Okay, that's a great one. If you have an IRA and you're somebody that's philanthropic and you normally are a giver, you can take up to $100,000 out of your IRA and to fulfill your RMD, right?
Yep.
And roll that over to directly from your financial institution to the charity. You just have to make sure that the money doesn't come to you, and then that goes to the charity, and it's completely tax-free to you.
Right. The big thing is it goes from the IRA to the charity, and
Now, can you do it from your 401k to the charity?
No.
No, it has to be to the IRA. So it was interesting. I was working with a client the other day, and they called to do the rollover, and it's in an SEP. And so they said, no, you can't do it because it's in an SEP. So I said to the broker, roll over the SEP to an IRA, then take the IRA and send it to the charity. Oh. Because it's a trustee-to-trustee transfer. You can do that and then roll it over.
You want me to do all that paperwork and I don't get paid for it?
Otherwise, you're going to take the money out of your account and move it to somebody else. All right, I'm Esther Gillies, the tax lady from EG Tax. We're going to take a short break for the news, and we'll be back on the other side. Hi, I'm Esther Gillies, the tax lady from EG Tax. I just breathed incorrectly. Here in the studio with Chris Fabian, and we're taking your emails and your texts, and we're answering their questions. During the week, if you need tax help, you can always call us at our corporate headquarters at 632-7886. Go to our website at egtax.com. It's October. It's almost the end of the year. We really want to make sure that we get you set up for next tax season. And so, Chris, we got some emails here.
We do. We got Michael, tax lady. I hear you and your team on the radio say, ask before you do something. So here goes. My financial advisor wants me to do 3 things. Cash in my CDs that are earning 2% and buy new ones that are earning 5.25%. Sounds like a no-brainer, but what about the penalties and tax consequences? Number 2 wants me to restructure my brokerage account. He says that it would cost me nothing because as of right now, I have a $20,000 loss I could claim. And number 3, with that loss, he says I should move $20,000 from my traditional IRA to a Roth IRA. I'm very confused. Can you please help me?
Well, okay. Well, the first thing is anybody that has money in a low interest bearing account, when you take a look at the high yield accounts, and some of them you can get 5.85. And I don't know, is it on our website or for sure it'd be on a older program, right, Chris? That they could get on.
Yes.
But you can, if you're getting 1% and you can get 6%, it is true they're going to charge you a penalty. So let's say the penalty is $500, but now you're going to make $3,000 in interest. Now $3,000 is bigger than $500. Right. So you lost 500 on the left hand, but you made 3,000 on the right hand. If I would do that all day long, right? But if you never do it, then those interest rates are going to probably come down here one of these days because the federal government has to borrow at that high rate. So the downward push is there. But right now you can tie it up for like 3 years at 5%. That's what I would do. So that's a good thing. Number 2, selling your stock at a loss. If it's not really a good performing stock, I think that your financial guy that's good, right?
Right.
I mean, you get to reduce your liability, assuming you have a tax liability that you're going to use the stock loss. And if you like that stock that isn't performing well, you can buy it back in 31 days, right?
Right.
You still take the loss.
Correct.
And then the last part, the Roth, it means you're going to take it from being not taxed to taxable. So you really have to take a look at what your financial situation is, and you can give us a call, and we'll tell you just how much it's going to cost for you to move from a post-tax IRA to a non-taxed Roth, so that's going to be fully taxable. So that $20,000, if you're in the 20% bracket, could cost you $4,500 between state and federal. I don't know if you're going to want to like to do that.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, because the way he
And do you have a pension?
Yep. The way he makes this sound is that he wants to use the loss. It sounds like the broker knows he's going to pay tax now, but he wants to use the loss to offset it, so he's not going to pay any tax. But that's not the case.
Right.
They're two
It's all-
different.
Right. It's all financial. You want to end up with more money, plain and simple. The taxes are part of it. That's true. That's a big part. But I'll pay taxes all day long. Let's say somebody said to me, "Gee, Esther, I'm going to give you $1 million, but it's going to cost you $300,000." I don't want to pay the $300,000, but if I get $1 million for $300,000, that's a deal, right?
Right.
Because it isn't
right.
all about not. Or if they say, "But I know you don't want to pay $300,000, so we won't give you the money at all." Then that doesn't make any sense. You want to make sure that that in a financial equation you made more money
Right.
and
Right.
you come out ahead.
Yes. So you got to, he is doing the right thing. Like he said, he hears us all the time. Call before you do something. So.
Yeah. So and so if you want to take a look at what your tax return is going to look like, we'll be very happy to do that for you.
Exactly. Let us run the numbers.
Right.
Yes.
All right. What do we got?
We have Larry, tax lady. I want to contribute the max to my pension plan 401k at work, but my controller said it would not be deductible because I am too highly compensated and I have to use a Roth 401k. Is this new?
That is new. That's new, isn't it, Chris?
Oh my gosh, it is so new. It's unbelievable.
So if you want to do the catch-up provision and your income, I think it's $150,000, right?
Yes.
And your income exceeds 150, then to do the catch-up provision has to be in a Roth, which is not deductible. That's brand new. So, yes, that's new.
Yeah, so, I mean, we talk about this all the time. Why would the IRS want you, the taxpayer, to put money in a Roth?
Because they need your money now.
Exactly.
And let's face it, the whole game here is defer. I mean, while in the meanwhile, our budget deficit's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. They definitely need the money. So that was a change. So what would have so this guy might have been able to put maybe an extra 10 into his 401k in a traditional that might have saved him $3,000 in taxes or $4,000 in taxes. Now they get the money because he's going to have it in a Roth. It's not going to be deductible.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's you really got to look at your paychecks. You got to look at your pay stubs. Not that many people get them anymore. They're all electronic. And see what's going on with it. And
and sit down and look at your investments. Like, for instance, with the high interest rates, I was talking to a taxpayer the other day, and he says that he's getting 5%. And I said, really? Yeah, he says, I get 0.0521. And I said, that's less than 1%. And he said, well, what do you mean? I said, if it's a 0.0 in front of the decimal point, it means it's not a whole number yet. You're getting less than 1%. So if you have savings accounts, or maybe you got a checking account, you got a bunch of money in your checking account, call us, because we're very happy to help you with that. Like what to do. You can just roll it over into an interest-bearing account and you make the money.
yeah.
I mean, the money that you would make would pay for your grocery bill maybe for half the year, And let's face it, sometimes when I go to the grocery store, I think, wow, this is $100 bag?
And it's one little bag. Yes.
What did I buy?
Right. Oh, it's crazy with how much inflation has impacted everything. And I don't know.
That's why it's so important that you watch out for yourself.
Yep.
And watch out for scams.
Oh.
It's such a shame. We were talking the other day about cryptocurrency, about, you have to understand with cryptocurrency, it's a non-regulated form of currency. That means that there's nobody watching it except the miners who are coming up with the new blockchain on it. I mean, that's it. And if you are dealing with an unscrupulous person, just like the guy from Canada who died when he was 30 years old and lost all that money to everybody, you could lose everything. So be very careful, because if it sounds too good, it probably is. Right?
That's right.
All right, what else we got? Anything else here?
Sure. We have, let's see, we got Karen. I watch my grandchildren for my daughter. She says that she can save money on her taxes by paying me. I really don't need the money, but what will it cost me and what will it save her? What's your opinion?
All right, so that's a child care credit. And so the credit is 20 to 30%, and of what she pays up to $5,000, right? So she could save like $1,000 in taxes on the federal, and $200 on the state, $1,200. Now, the money that she pays you, then you put on a Schedule C, and you get to reduce it by the expenses to take care of that sweet little grandchild, like the breakfast, lunch, and dinner, toys that you buy her, ordinary necessary, trips to McDonald's during the day, the mileage is deductible, maybe driving the baby back home, all of that, and a percentage of your entire home is deductible as well. The utilities, the insurance, the interest,
the
property
repairs,
taxes,
the cutting the lawn,
and that
snow removal.
so that money that she gives you is very easily deducted and eaten up, and pretty soon there's nothing much left, and that's what you pay taxes on, which might be nothing at all.
Right.
And so, yes, is it a good thing? It really is. And all that money she gives to you, you're probably going to spend it on the grandchild anyway. I know that's what I used to do. I mean, it was the only business that I've been involved in that it cost me money to do the service, because I was taking care of my own grandchildren.
But you loved it.
I did, but I don't think they even paid me either, did they? No, I don't think so.
I plead the fifth.
It really, really, really cost money. But I was worth it. I love grandchildren.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Let's see.
A quick one here, right?
Yep. Please help. I just got a letter from the IRS saying that I owe $230,000.
Oh.
What do I do? And I know we can take this over the next one, too, if we have to, the break. So.
Yeah. That's what maybe that's what we should do, is because we have our break coming up.
Yeah, in about a
Yeah.
minute.
So what we'll do is because this can be long and lengthy. So I'm Esther Gilius, the tax lady from EG Tax. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back on the other side. Hi, this is Esther Gilius, the tax lady from EG Tax, and we're chewing up your text messages and emails. No direct calls today. Next week we'll be back taking your calls. But if you have questions during the week, as ever, you can go to our website at egtax.com, ask the tax lady, or you can call our corporate office anytime, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. We're happy to help you, right? All right, so we were dealing with this question about somebody that got a bill for $230,000 from the IRS, right?
Correct.
Well, first of all, there's another bill coming too, isn't there?
Well, eventually that will be from New York State.
Right, with lots of penalty and interest. So
Yes.
you want to clear this up. When it's that big of a bill, it's almost means that I bet you there was something not claimed, like the sale of stock or something to that effect.
Right.
If that's the case, then you're just basically going to analyze what the bill came from, and then see if you had left something off. If it's a sale of stock and you have a cost basis, which you probably do, then the difference between what you sold it for and what it cost, that's the gain, and that would substantially reduce the overall liability. So that's one way to handle it. Any other thoughts on this, Chris?
Bring us the letter. Let us take
For
a look
sure.
at it, and then we can go from there. Like you may have reported something on a different line than what the IRS is looking for. But I believe, with this big, it is probably stock.
Right, but don't ignore it.
Right.
Don't ignore it. It's not going to go away. You may think, oh, well, they sent me a letter, but I haven't heard from them for a while. Each letter has a statutory perfunctory days that it says if you don't hear from you, that gives us more power, and the next one we get more power, and the next one we get the most power, and then before you know it, you got a tax lien. So and it makes it very difficult. Many times they won't even clear it up until you go to tax court.
Right.
So you don't want that. You want to make sure you answer those letters as soon as possible, and we don't charge anything to look at those letters. So please do that. There's probably something left off, or the IRS could have made a mistake. They might have key punched something incorrectly, or maybe somebody sent a 1099 that you didn't know. I mean, maybe it's a Schedule C. There was expenses that you never took. Who knows? It's a mystery, and we will uncover it.
What if somebody went to mail you a 1099 and they paid you $1 million instead of $10,000? They missed the decimal point.
Right.
So,
and that's correct. That's absolutely correct. I know there was a pastor that we had as a client, and the church was getting money from an outside source from, I don't know what it was, but when they issued the 1099 form, it should have gone to the church, which would have been a not-for-profit. Obviously, churches lose money, but they put it in the pastor's name.
Yeah, wasn't it the tithes that were coming in through the online or something?
Something, and they put it in the pastor's name, and so we had to get a letter from the church that says, oh no, that wasn't the pastor's money, it all came into the general treasury, they had issued it incorrectly, and so that was the only way we could get them off the hook. Because these are official letters. I will tell you, if you do nothing about it, you absolutely are in for trouble.
Big trouble. That's for sure.
Okay, what do we got?
Okay. Jill writes in, Esther, my son does a lot of online betting against my wishes. Mm-hmm. Told him that he is in college and should be concentrating on his school, not sports, if he wants me to continue paying for his education. His response was, but Mom, I won $10,000 last year and I'm up $15,000 this year. I asked for his income statements forms because I do his returns, and he said it's all tax-free because it's being on an online gaming site. Is he correct, or is he or me in trouble?
Mamma mia. Yeah, he's in trouble. I mean, it's not tax-free because it's on an online gaming site. Look, at all income is taxable unless specifically tax-exempt under law, like welfare, workers' comp, VA benefits. Though gifts are tax-free. I mean, those are specifically tax-exempt. But everything else that you do to make money is taxable. And this young man has to report all of his winnings, and his losses are an itemized deduction. So, and further, he's kind of maybe not your dependent anymore.
There's that too, but even if he is your dependent, what is gambling? Unearned income.
Right.
And so what door does that open on a tax return? Kitty tax.
Only if she claims them.
Right.
But if she doesn't claim them anymore, I mean, so the bottom line is if he's furnishing over 50% of his own support, because he said 25,000, right? 10 and 15?
Well, 10,000 last year, 15,000 this year.
Oh, okay, this year. So if she's not giving 50% or more to his total support, and he's supporting himself, then she would not claim him. He'd claim himself. He wouldn't have kitty tax. If she is supporting him, then he has kitty tax, and he has to pay taxes at the parent's top rate. So she's really, she's got to really come and talk to us so we can get them squared away.
Yeah, it's and
you know that they're going to send him a 1099-K form.
Yep.
They're going to send him a 1099-K, and it's regular income, and the itemized deduction is a Schedule A, and it's not a pretty sight.
Right. Yep. Okay, then we got Jerry. Esther, my kids are telling me to get solar for my house. They said I can get about $6,000 back from the federal and $5,000 back from New York. How is this possible when my income is only Social Security and I don't even file a return?
Well, your kids are wrong. You don't get it back. It's a non-refundable credit. So the only way that you can benefit at all, I mean, I want to tell you, the other day I was with somebody who had solar, and their electric bill's $20 a month, and that's a happy thing, right?
Right.
But if you're looking for the 26% credit, those are non-refundable credits, and the only thing you can do is come up with more income. So if you had like an IRA or an annuity that you could cash in and then utilize that credit for solar to offset that would be a way around it. But don't just listen to your kids. Some of the worst advice you can get is from family and friends.
Or salesman.
Well, and the salesman's got a dog in the hunt.
Right. But yeah, no, he would definitely should look into for taking the money out of, like you said, the 401k, his annuity, an IRA, to create taxable income to use it if he wants to do solar.
Right, and here's the thing. It has to, the income has to come in this year if he's going to have the
solar installed.
This year. So it's got to be the same calendar year. So if this is something that is not working out and he can't get it installed in time, don't do one and then the other year do the other, because you will really shoot yourself in the foot then.
Right. Okay.
So please call us, please.
Okay. Yeah. This is from Anthony.
Anthony.
What is better, if I take my dividends or reinvest them? No one can explain this to me. Hopefully you can. Thank you.
Well, I mean, really, dividends that you get are a share of the profits that the company that you're invested in gives back to you, the investor. And that's great. And those dividends are taxable. If you let it ride, like if in roulette, if you just let it ride, or I don't know, it's not roulette.
Blackjack,
the
something.
The little round chips where you just say, I'm going to let it ride. Well, then you're basically buying more stock, and the value of your account is growing. And if you like what the business is doing and they're still making money, that's maybe a very good investment. But you have to remember that every time you let those dividends stay there, your basis is going up. So a lot of times people will say, "Oh, I paid $10,000 for this ABC stock and I just sold it for $15,000," but they've maybe had $8,000 in reinvested dividends, so they don't realize that it was $10,000 plus $8,000. Now it's $18,000 against $15,000, right?
Right.
So you got to keep track of your reinvested dividends. But is it bad or good? If the investment is good, then it's good. If the investment's not doing so hot, then it's not good.
Right. For tax purposes, it's 6 in one, half dozen the other, though.
Because you're going to pay taxes up front when you get it.
Yeah, you're paying tax no matter what on your dividends.
I mean, if you let it sit there, and a lot of people say to me, but I didn't take it out.
Right.
But you could have taken it out. It's called constructive receipt. You had the right to take it out. You let it sit there. So it's like a bank account when you're getting interest. If you get $3,000 in interest, you could have taken it out, but you let it sit there. So you had constructive receipt. So the interest is taxable, the dividends are taxable. But in the dividend situation, it's buying more stock and it's increasing your cost basis.
Yep. Okay.
We got time for one more?
One more. I'm thinking of partially retiring so I can take my Social Security. I am single and make $35,000 right now. What am I limited to take my Social Security? I'm 66 in November. I'm scheduled to get $24,000 in Social Security. How much will I pay in taxes if I cut my salary to $18,000? I'm trying to work on my budget.
Okay, so she's under she's under normal retirement age, or is she? No, she's normal retirement age.
Yes.
So once you hit normal retirement age, if you're worried about having to pay back Social Security because you're still working and you're under normal retirement age, that as a single person, it's around $20,000 that you can make now and still not have to pay back Social Security. She, being normal retirement age, can make $1 million and not have to pay back Social Security. Now, that doesn't mean that the Social Security won't be taxable, but she doesn't have to pay it back because she took it early before normal retirement age. So she doesn't have to worry about that. And so if she doesn't have to cut her salary to 18, she can keep working for the whole 35,000.
Right. But if she does only want to work part-time and at 18,000, her Social Security, if she is single, 12,
so it'd be 24.
there'd be none of her Social Security.
So that's 28.8 divided by 2, so that's 14.4 plus 18,000, so that's 32.4 if she's single. So 7,400 divided by 2, so 3,700 of her Social Security would be taxable on top of her salary of 18,000, and she's got if she's a single person, her standard deduction is like 15,000. So her tax liability is going to be about $700.
So not bad.
Not bad at all.
Nope.
Right?
Correct.
Okay, I'm Esther Gullius, the tax lady. If you're getting love letters, you're going to do something financial, give EG Tax a call. There's no charge for us to help you over the phone or in person. Till next week, I'm Esther Gullius, the tax lady with Christopher Fabian. Have a great week. Thanks for listening.